Cuban revolutionary leader Fidel Castro died late Friday. He was 90 years old. Castro has led Cuba for almost half a century. So, Ms. Wu would like to ask you several questions. First, can you tell us a little bit about the life of Castro? How did he become a revolutionary leader of Cuba?
We heard that Fidel Castro died. I think it is bad news. It is sad news for me, for the Chinese people, because we are heard of the news. I think it is a great loss for the Chinese people, because we lost a good friend. We see that Castro is a great Cuban revolutionist. He was born in a wealthy family, but he become a strong leftist anti-imperialist. When he studied at the University of Havana, he became a revolutionary revolutionarist, and then he joined the Communist Party, and then he led the Cuban people for a guerrilla war, and then he began to fight against the dictatorship of the Bastist government. So, and he overthrew the Bastist dictatorship, and he began to construct the socialism in Cuba, and in the past half of the century, Fidel Castro led Cuba to go on the socialist path, and carry out the socialist construction, and such as the industry and business were nationalized, and the state socialist reform implemented through the society. So we see that Cuba is the only one of the socialist state in the Western Hemisphere. So we see that Castro is a great leader of the Cuba. So he died, which means it's a greater loss for the Cuba and also for the Latin America.
Thank you. So, what is his legacy for his country and the region?
Cuba is the one socialist country in the Western Hemisphere in the Latin American region. We see that Fidel Castro is the symbol person of the left movement in Latin America. Today, the Latin Americans left movement has taken the ideas and the theories of the Castros, Fidel Castros. We see that Fidel Castro gave the Latin American peoples a great spirit legacy. For his life, he insisted on the fight against the imperialism and powerful politics, and safeguard for his national interests of Cuba. So we see that many for the all Cuban peoples, Castro is always the great leader of the revolutionary in his country.
Castro's death comes amid a historic thaw in Cuba-U.S. ties. So will the relationship between the two countries be influenced by his death?
In recent years, Fidel Castro and his brother Raul Castro are the great leader of the Cuba. In 2008, Fidel Castro take over the power to his brother. So the Cuba president is the Raul Castro. Yeah, but we see that during the leadership of the Fidel Castro and the Raul Castro, Cuba has been carry out the reform and opening up policies. So this year we see that a great improvement of the Cuba in the economic and the social fields has a great change, and at the same time, the Cuba has improved the bilateral relations with the U.S. So I think Castro was dead. Cuba has a new leader of the Raul Castro. So this is lucky for Cuba.